Hello everybody, Thrash Till Death here. I've got a bit of bad news, unfortunately. A couple of weeks ago, the United Kingdom woke up to find itself buried under about 2 feet of snow. As a result, because we have no idea how to deal with this sort of thing, most of our services have ground to a halt, among those being the postal service. So as a result, the Agalloch album that's just come out that I've promised to review hasn't arrived yet, and we're going to have to hold off on that for another few days, unfortunately. I will get round to it though. But a side benefit of this is that I have got the opportunity to listen to Virgin Steele's new album, Light Bacchanalia. Virgin Steele, obviously, they've been around for a good going on 30 years now. They were among the first American heavy metal bands of note, debuting in 1982. Light Bacchanalia is their 12th studio album to date, although they have remained more or less underground for the duration of their career. Light Bacchanalia is a relatively laid-back album by power metal standards. Virgin Steele obviously sort of predate the definition of power metal, so they might not fit traditionally into the mold of a power metal band, but that's generally how they get categorized. So Light Bacchanalia, compared to the sort of bombastic, grandiose offerings we've had from Blind Guardian and Rhapsody of Fire this year, relatively sort of laid back and languid, and not as hugely energetic and over the top as those. But it does. David DeFeus, their lead singer and keyboardist, is classically trained, and he does introduce a sort of dignity and musical theatre sort of influence into the power metal proceedings. So Light Bacchanalia does have this sort of more subtle, graceful way of emoting than a lot of other power metal bands do. It's not a particularly guitar-oriented album. The riffs, while good, are relatively undistinguished a lot of the time. Soloing isn't particularly prominent either. A lot of the time the guitar simply serves as a foil to the piano melodies and the orchestrations, which are absolutely sumptuous and run right through the album. So it's a very melodic, pleasant to listen to at all times. It also serves to highlight and bring to a more prominent role the vocals of David DeFeus, who's an absolutely fantastic singer. He doesn't go in for a lot of the sort of histrionic, over-the-top screaming of a lot of modern power metal, which just feels like singers aren't so much trying to emote as outdo each other. He brings a much more sort of refined, dignified approach to the table. He does take this sort of rock opera approach. He talks a lot about Virgin Steele being this sort of provider of metal operas, I suppose, and he does do this sort of operatic thing, theatrical, I suppose. He has a very emotive range. He sings in sort of steely snarl that you might hear on early American power metal albums, the sort of Jagdpanzer, Man of War, Eric Adams sort of style. But he also has a very melodic, clean, smooth singing voice as well. So he sort of reminds me of Ray Adler from Redemption and Fate's Warning that way, in that he doesn't go for the histrionic, over-the-top power metal theatrics. So yeah, absolutely lovely melodic album right the way through. It's not the most energetic and it's not the most exciting album from minute to minute, and at times it can definitely get monotonous. A lot of the songs are quite still, quite contemplative. Sometimes they get a bit dull, sometimes it can be very atmospheric. It's a bit hit and miss, to be perfectly honest. That is in large part to do with the fact that it's very long. It's 76 minutes, almost the upper limit of what you can fit on a single compact disc. So it has a similar problem that way to Iron Maiden's A Matter of Life and Death, in that some of the songs can get a bit samey after you've drawn them out for so long. But overall, it's still very pleasurable listen from beginning to end, and enough good moments to justify listening to it all in one go. So yeah, if you're into the idea of a sort of relatively languid, laid-back, not quite so melodramatic power metal album, Just as a sort of a change to the European school that dominates power metal and has done for the last 15-20 years, you should probably give Light Bacchanalia a shot. Although, if you're not into power metal, it won't be the album to convince you. But personally, I enjoyed it, and it's definitely one of the better albums I've heard in 2010, I'd have to say. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say on that subject. Just as a brief note, I'd like to say a quick get well soon to King Diamond, one of the most iconic and influential singers in heavy metal. He's just gone in for triple bypass surgery, although apparently the operation went perfectly well and he's recovering quickly, although he won't be touring or recording for a good few months yet. So just here's to speedy recovery for King Diamond. Thank you everybody, and this is Thrash Till Death. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.